All right, Sam Bakhtiar, welcome to the podcast, brother. Thanks for hopping on.
Stu, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you for your platform and your time as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's an honor to have you on here. And so I figured to start off the podcast, we could just give listeners sort of a look into what was life like for you as little Sam, and I know you have quite the interesting background, but fill people in on as far as what did life look like as a little kid for you?
Oh, Stu, man, where do I start? Well, I was born in a third world country, Tehran, Iran. And when I was 3 years old, my dad and my mom split. I never saw my dad again. My dad moved to Canada, and I never saw him after that. And then we also went to war with Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and he started bombing us every night. We heard sirens and we heard bombings, and that was how I was grew up, in the third world country, And when I was 11 years old, my mom and I escaped the country as refugees, and we came to the United States. And I was expecting that I was coming to the United States because I was watching American TV shows. I thought I was coming to, everybody was millionaire and billionaire, and everybody
Yeah.
had Bentleys and swimming pools. And I came to a little town called Sharon, Pennsylvania, in 1985, which was a very hick town, very homogeneous, and I was the only minority in the whole town, the whole school. So it was really tough growing up. I don't know what was worse, coming to America and being
England.
discriminated against and not knowing the language and being the only minority in town or getting bombed on. It was pretty even.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. At the age of three, your dad leaving, and then up to 11, just basically like going through war. And I've heard you say this before, like back then you say war, that we're going to war. It's like you hear like machine guns, you're hearing, like you are actually in the heat of it. And so
It's not
I
like
would,
America. It's not like the beautiful country we have here, where
yeah,
we build a military. We have protection. When you go to war, we heard the war, we heard machine guns, we heard the tanks, we heard anti-air.
crazy. Yeah. So I would be curious because like I know at a young age we are so impressionable. And I guess for you, like, do you ever think back to what went through your mind when you were, up to 11, just like you literally grew up in a war, I mean, I can't imagine what that would sort of do for you.
Yeah, grew up in a war, and but I was so busy all the time focusing on playing soccer, focusing on school,
Yeah.
focus on the stuff like that. That when you're so young and things happen, you just accepted that this is how life is.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes your normal. So the war was like my normal. Oh yeah, well, we're expected to have sirens go off tonight. We're expected to getting bombed on. We're expected to see, airplanes dropping bombs and missiles. That I expected that. And
Yeah.
it's sad, but it's true because at a young age, you don't know anymore. That's why they always say like, if anybody was going to entertain divorce, it's better to do it when your kids are young.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they don't know.
Oh,
That's their normal thing. They get it. But if you're older, if you already know a better way of life, and all of a sudden that's taken away from you, that's a big shock.
right. Did it put you like on your toes a lot as you grew up in that type of like an environment, do you think? Like were you just sort of like, like I'm just gonna lay back, I'm gonna play soccer, I'm gonna do my life, and casually there's just gonna be like machine guns every now and then? Or were you kind of like aware?
No, I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. Like I was too young to be aware. I was just like too caught up in my own little thing. And I think we can all learn a big lesson from that.
Yeah.
Every day we're kind of at war with ourselves, with other businesses, with other people, and if you just don't care about what's going on, because somebody in social media is not going to like you, some of your family members not going to approve of you, somebody somewhere is not going to like what you do, how you look, or what you say. But at the end of the day, if you just focus on what you got to do and be genuine to yourself and just stick to what you need to do, then you can cut out a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and uh, a lot of downfall in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's so true. Okay. And so now let's say we transition, you're 11 years old. Your mom's like, we're packing up, we're going to the US. You're like, all right, the promised land, millionaires, cars, the whole works. And you get to basically the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania and just massive, I don't know if letdown would be the right
It
word,
was a
but
letdown. God, it was a letdown. God, man. I mean, like, they didn't show the hood in the American TV shows. They show all the, Beverly Hills and the best parts of Dallas and all that kind of stuff. They didn't show abandoned buildings, brick roads, hood, crack cocaine epidemic, prostitutes, drug dealers outside. That's where I went. That's where I
Yeah.
went. It was a big letdown. It was shocking. I'm like, where is this America?
Yeah.
Abandoned buildings, like brick roads, like broken windows. It was a huge awakening.
Yeah. Very interesting. And so for you, I'm curious, like, did that build a fire in you? Because, like, you look at the trajectory of your life, some of these things that you thought you came to America and you were going to get, you've now created in your life. So I'm curious, like, back when you were 11, I'm just curious, like, were there seeds that were planted that was like, maybe I got here and this isn't what I was given, but I'm absolutely gonna get this eventually. Like,
Stu, I don't know. Ever since I can remember,
yeah.
I always wanted to be better than average. I
Hmm.
mean, ever since I was 3, 4 years old, when my memory goes back, I didn't like to lose. When I played soccer, if I lost, I ran home and cried. I
Huh.
cried so hard when I hated losing. I figured out what I needed to go to lose. I would go practice, practice, practice. I couldn't wait to play that person or that team again so I could beat them. You know, if I wanted, if I saw, I always wanted to, date the prettiest, prettiest, prettiest girl. I didn't care about anything else. I always wanted, ever since I was playing with the little toy cars, I wanted the Lamborghini, I wanted the Ferrari, I wanted
Yeah.
the Porsche, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if anything innately I wanted better things. And I'm not sure if all kids have that, because as kids we always have big dreams and big ambitions.
Right.
We all want to be the astronauts, and we want to be, the pilots, and we want to be the scientists, and we want to change the world. So I don't know if I was any different than most kids. I don't know that. But one thing that I do know is that my mom always told me that, Sam, you can be whatever you want and do whatever you want as long as you're willing to pay the price and do the work.
Mm.
So even though, in bodybuilding or in a lot of things in life, I didn't have the best genetics or the best makeup or whatever this and that, but I was always the hardest worker in the room. I always set a plan together. I love setting a plan together, and I'm like, all right, so I need to become a bodybuilder. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Who do I need to see? What information am I missing? What plan should I put together? And I need to execute the plan no matter what. And so I was always kind of stubborn like that, that
Yeah.
I wouldn't let a setback set me back. I was like,
Right.
setback, I'm just going to go out and put a plan together and be able to execute that plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's super powerful too, because like when your mom, like, people grow up, they have dreams, ambitions, all these things. And eventually they get to a point where either maybe someone in their life says, "Oh, what are you doing? That's stupid. That's unrealistic. You're never going to do that." But you had someone, your mom,
Yeah.
right, that said you could do anything. But I think one thing that is huge there is she said through working hard,
Yeah.
right? They're like having a work ethic to back it, right? Sometimes I think people, they focus so much on the result and not the work ethic that now they attach themselves more to failure, right? If they fail, they're a failure. But if you attach yourself to the work, well, if you worked hard and you still failed, well, you reward the work, you learn the lesson, you go to the next work.
Also, I watched my mom. My mom raised me as a single mom, like I was telling you. She took a huge risk as a single mom with one son, coming from Iran to America by herself. That's
Yeah.
a huge risk. And I saw my mom start a business, but literally with nothing, with a couple of $100, and growing it and making it to a huge business over the years, and literally hustling and driving to New York, buying products and coming back. So it's one thing as parents or as people, we tell people, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to work hard. But my mom wasn't Netflix and chilling. Back then they didn't have Netflix, but she wasn't HBO
For
and chilling.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I saw how hard my mom worked. I saw how persistent she was. I saw that, she experienced, multiple failures in life and different things. But she always kept her head up and she always kept moving.
Yeah. Dang. What a courageous woman to come here by herself, and then a couple $100, literally she created the American dream and she kind of painted that picture for you.
Yes.
That's unbelievable. That's so cool. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah.
And so I guess as we transition now, so you start to grow up. I know you have, a long journey of everything you've been through. Eventually you start working for your uncle at his gas station. And I guess I would just sort of be curious, like, let's say we go to high school, we drop into your high school life and towards sort of the later years in your high school, like sort of where were you at that point? Did you know you wanted to go to college? I know there was some things with like doctor, lawyer, engineer sort of stuff. But where sort of were you at mentally end of high school, let's say?
Well, I know my mom always said, Sam, if you want to be successful, you have to go to college. You have to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, because if you want to be successful, those are the three professions that, are synonymous with success.
Yeah.
I grew up with that mentality, and not going to college was never a choice. It was never a choice. I always knew I was going to go to college because
Yeah.
my mom painted a picture that college equals success. And I wanted success and I didn't want to be average, But my mentality in high school, you know, at that point in time, I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to fit in. I was, like I said, I was a foreigner. I wasn't black. I wasn't white. I just wanted to fit in. And, I definitely hung around with the wrong crowds. I definitely got in some trouble, because I just wanted to be seen. I want to let everyone know that, hey, Sam Bakhtiar is here.
Yeah.
That's a vulnerable age that you want to be accepted by your peers and all that kind of stuff. So, I was driving around, hanging around with the wrong crowd, drinking, not like nothing crazy, like, and all that kind of stuff. I never got into drugs or never got into smoking anything and all that kind of stuff. But definitely like, I was doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to. You know, I wish going back, I wish I would have had a different circle. I
Hmm.
wish I was, I wish, I was starting my personal development sooner rather than later. I didn't even know what personal development was, but I was a product of the environment because I was in the hood.
Yeah.
My uncle's store was in the hood. I worked in the hood, and to this day, my mom comes and tells me, Sam, how come you talk to like those guys, those people in the hood? I go, Mom, did you forget where you dropped me off? You know, I'm like, Mom, I worked at my uncle's store for years in the hood. That's the first place we came right off the plane.
Yeah.
And I still, like I said, I guess to my mom's uh, perception, I talked like the hood people.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing that's interesting there, and I've heard you talk about it before, is like the power of association, right? Like you become who you surround yourself with. Like one of the things um, that I've often heard from one of my mentors, he says, you are a direct reflection of the standards of your peers.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And so one thing I would be curious for you is like, let's say someone's listening to this and they're sort of like, oh crap, like I need to level up my association. Like I'm not around the best people. I'm not around people that are driving me, that are motivating me, that I'm not really around the people I want to be around, but I have the realization that I need to get around better people. What would be a tip you would give them on how they can sort of level up their association or like grow their association?
Look, man, it's your responsibility. It's your duty and your obligation to grow as a person so you can evolve, so you can become the best that you can be, so you can provide for your family, your future family, your kids, and all that kind of stuff. So, and I think every single person, they always need to do an inventory
Hmm.
of who they're hanging around with. Is this people adding to my life or subtracting to my life or neutral? you know, and you want to surround yourself with people who are adding to your life, who is, having a higher standard than you and going to help you elevate, take yourself to the next level. You know what I mean? You only have one life, and I can't tell you how important that is to do an inventory of people you associate with, people you're hanging around with, and choose wisely. That could be the most important decision of your life.
Yeah. What do you think is the power of like, I mean, this is maybe a hard decision, but if there's people you're around and you're like, you love them, but you realize they're not good for you, um, like, do you think that's someone that you cut out from your life? Do you limit the time you spend with them? Like, sort of, how would you approach a situation like that?
Good question. And I have a quote for that. And
Okay.
my quote is, it's okay to love people from far away.
Mm,
I have a lot of people that I love, absolutely love. I will be there for them. I support them, but I can't give them my mental energy and I can't give them my presence. Now, that doesn't mean that I'll never talk to them or if they need me or they call me and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean I'm not going to avoid them at Thanksgiving dinner or all that kind of stuff. But now I limit them. Some people are very close to me, like the very close family members. I love
yeah.
them. but I try to limit. You know what I mean? It's like watching bad news.
Totally.
You know, I'll limit watching the news. I don't want to watch the news because it's always bad news, and it's
Yeah.
something I want to watch. So you got to limit, the input of information that goes in to your brain.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. You can love them from afar. That's super real. Okay, so now we jump forward. You're in college. You're like, all right, mom, you said I got these couple choices. Doctors where you recommend. You're like, I'm following it, mom. I'm getting my doctorate. And we'll kind of skip through the process and fast forward a little bit, but eventually you go to get your doctorate, you get it. Um, you graduate from that. And can you kind of fill us in on there? Because I think there's a lot of people that listen to this that maybe their parents said you should go this route or you should do this, and people kind of fall into the question of, well, do I do what they recommended? Do I not? um, is this going to create tension between us if I do what they said and then I don't like it and now I wasted my time? And you kind of took this interesting path where you were like, all right, mom, like you gave me this opportunity to come to America, and like this is what you want, and I'm going to do this because I love you and you gave me this incredible opportunity. But then once you got your doctorate, you kind of took a different path. So yeah.
So so yeah, I wanted to honor my mom. But also remember back then there wasn't YouTube, Facebook, social media. Back then, not too many people knew what entrepreneurship was,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So back then, we're a different age where, you get a degree, you get a great job, or you start your business, and you buy a home, get married, get a dog, get a white picket fence, you retire.
Yeah.
That was the plan. But right now there are so many opportunities. We see it out there with people so young just killing it, and there's so many opportunities out there that, having it been right now a different time, if I was going to college now, today, next year,
Yeah.
it might have been a different conversation. It might have been a different conversation because I might have found a different way to get where I wanted to go. But for my mom, it wasn't just, being successful making money. It was the title. She
Yeah.
wanted a doctor or a lawyer is the title that she wanted her son to have. But I don't regret anything. I went to college. I learned tremendously, a lot of intangibles in college that I wouldn't normally learn, like discipline, time management, working with people, being punctual, responsibilities, that led me to who I am today.
Yeah.
But for people who are listening to this podcast and they have, their parents' pressure, to go to college and something like that, I would say, you know what, do what feels right for you.
Mm,
If you think that college, look, man, in the grand scheme of things, going to college for a few years is not going to be, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of your life.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to meet some cool people. You're going to learn some new skills and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But learn the disciplines. Be disciplined enough to execute. Don't just not go to college and just sit back and play video games. Have a game plan and execute the game plan, and have college be right there in front of you, as long as you can hold yourself accountable and be your own professor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's an interesting point you bring up too. It's like college is, let's say, 5 years, even if you stretch it, right? You took the long path, you took 5 years. It's like, truthfully, how many other times in your life is
Yeah.
something going to be presented to you where you need to commit 5 years to get it done? Right. Like, I know in society today, we're kind of faced with this like microwave society thinking, right? Where it's like, oh, I want to start something. And in 6 to 12 months, I want to be making $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, whatever it is. But the truth be told is you gotta weather throughout the years, right? You're gonna have the ups, the downs, you're gonna learn. And eventually after years, that's when something can really pop. So maybe you even look at college as like, this is just a matter of showing myself that I can commit to something for 4 to 5 years. And that skill alone, and taking that into the rest of your life, like that, even if you don't get anything else from school, that could be profound for some people to be like, holy crap, I can do something for 5 years that I committed to.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. And I think, like you said too, like 5 years out of, humans today, we're probably going to live like 100 years. It's like, that's 5% of your life. It's, it's not that crazy, but I think what you're saying is true, is that, do what you love. So we jump back into your story. So you graduate, you get the doctorate, and you've been being a personal trainer throughout school. And now you graduate, and rather than going, I believe you got your chiropractor, right? And so rather than starting your own practice in that, you basically start opening up these transformation camps. And so can you kind of walk us in?
I started opening up one transformation camp.
Yeah.
We didn't get to camps till way later, but I started my first business called Fitness Concepts, which was a personal training gym. It started inside of a LA Fitness, and I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about business. My hobby was bodybuilding and getting people in shape and learning about anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, nutrition, and as you can see, half of my books still are on that subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I geek out on that kind of stuff. So, so I started my first business, and I started doing really good. What I mean really good at that time for me was really good. Working 60, 70 hours a week and making 10, 15 grand a month. That was a dream because I'm from Sharon, and Sharon, 2 grand a month, you're doing great.
Yeah.
So I'm not making 10 grand a month, and I literally don't have a life. But I was 27, literally, I work day and night, and make 10, 15 grand a month, and I was happy for many years. And then later on, I ventured out and started my own gym, out of LA Fitness, and grew that, and I was doing
So,
great.
so quick question. So if we jump back to that, you're working at LA Fitness when you graduated
Yes, correct.
as a trainer.
As a trainer, and then I
And
started
so,
my own company inside LA Fitness.
right. So like what hit that light bulb to be like, I'm gonna start my own business within LA Fitness? Like what clicked that light on for you?
Well, the company I worked for that was inside LA Fitness, they went out of business.
Oh.
And I asked, one of the higher ups in LA Fitness, I'm like, hey, can I get an opportunity to take over this business and start my own business here?
Hmm.
And they gave me that opportunity, and the rest was history.
Gotcha. And then it was like, all right, time to show up, Sam.
Yes.
Time to show the world what you're made of, basically. Love that. Okay, so fast forward, eventually you're like, I'm out of LA Fitness, I'm doing my own thing. And is this when you open up the first camp?
So no, I went to open up Fitness Concepts,
Yeah.
and a standalone Fitness Concepts. I was doing great till the recession hits. And the recession really knocked me on my ass, because I wasn't aware that economy has its ups and downs. They never taught me that in school. I didn't have a dad to tell me, hey man, there's ups and downs in the economy. I thought that the economy was always on the way up. I was
Huh.
making money and all that kind of stuff. So when the economy just, took a dive, I was in big trouble because at that time I bought a house, I bought a couple of cars. I was kind of overextended. I was making money, but I was overextended. I had one of those 80/20 loans on the home,
Yeah.
interest only and all that kind of stuff. And it really, knocked me on my butt. And, Stu, everything that's happened to me in life, every devastation that I had in life ended up being my biggest blessing.
Hmm.
Every single one, from getting bombed on, from not having a dad, from getting, cut from the basketball team and getting into weightlifting, from, the recession, from the COVID-19 that we're going in right now. There's something good that's coming out of all these things. So, and I was really devastated because at the time that this happened, I was getting foreclosure notices. Credit card companies were calling me. We were pregnant with our first baby,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden I'm minus $314 in the bank account. Now I'm like, oh my God, all these negative talks that going through my head. I'm like, Sam, you're gonna be the same deadbeat dad that you had. You're not gonna be able to provide for your daughter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what, just like I'll tell everyone else, man, I'm like, all right, so life has its seasons. You know, the seasons are what? You have the spring, you have the summer, you have the fall, and you have the winter.
Yeah.
And life is not always going to be summer. Life is not always going to be winter. So as long as you know that life has its seasons, you're going to take that with a grain of salt and push through. Winston Churchill said that if you're going through hell, keep on going.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you're going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And after literally, like I was depressed I would say for about a month. I was like, I stopped working out, just eating pizza every night. And I'm like, all right, let me get back up. Let me put a plan together. Let me execute the plan. Like, I'm not going to stay down. I didn't come. I didn't come this far to come this far. I didn't have my mom, bring me to the greatest country in the world so I can just lay down and feel sorry for myself. So I got up, and from 2008 to 2014, Stu, I got up every day, had a plan, and execute the plan, and I lost. Got up, execute the plan, and I lost. Got up, execute the plan, and I lost. We started the camp in 2012, because a lot of people couldn't afford one-on-one training anymore.
Hmm.
So we had to now have a bunch of people with one trainer so that we can, lower the cost for the people and also be able to, sustain business. So we started that. We didn't know it was going to be, it's going to take off.
For sure.
We started taking off. We started getting, growing. And next thing you know, we got the second and third and fourth location. And the story behind that is, again, for about 6 years, I took an L every single day. I took an L. Imagine going to work 14, 16 hours a day, coming home feel defeated.
Damn.
And so finally, the camp started working, started, growing and multiplying. And just like I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, then I got hit with divorce papers.
Oh.
From my ex-wife. And I thought the recession killed me. But Dad really put me in that place where I moved out of the house. I moved into a hotel for 4 months. I was living out of a suitcase. But again, if that wouldn't have happened, if the recession wouldn't have happened, the camp wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
If the divorce wouldn't happen, I wouldn't be working on the camp as much as I did. I didn't blow up to what it is. I would have met my new wife. I would not have my son.
Yeah.
So for your listeners, if you're going through something like this, understand this. Obstacle is not in the way. Obstacle is the way.
Mm.
And I'm not going to get all religious on you, because I'm not super religious, but I do believe in God.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly believe that God only rewards people who have faith. And if you have faith enough in God, that you're going to go through some tough times and just go through it and have faith that He has a bigger plan for you, you will come out at the end victorious.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. One thing that's a powerful quote that someone once told me is they said, faith and fear, they both require you to believe in something that's made up. Right. So it's like,
I love that.
Right. So it's like, if you're going through some of these things and you're like, oh, it's going to go bad, it's going to be like, it is entirely made up. Right. So it's like, why not bet on the positive? Right. Our brain sometimes innately goes.
I love that quote. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, you got it all day. So this is what I want to know, and I want to peel back, is the failures are what have shaped you into who you are today, and the impact you have had is profound. And so what I would love to look into is, like, you fail, and have you developed a strategy as far as, like, you get knocked on your ass and you're like, all right, this is one of those moments where, like, life is not looking like it's for me, but it is for me. And what does that process look like for you, from like getting back up from that failure, maybe going from on your ass to crawling to walking to jogging to running?
Look, man, every time now, have you ever watched boxing or MMA?
Yeah.
And you ever see somebody, hit their opponent straight in the chin, like a perfect shot,
Yeah.
and the opponent nods and laughs and let the other go, no, you know what, you got me. That was a good one, right? So that's my strategy now. So when life hits me, because I'm used to being hit. See, the first time that person got hit in the jaw or in the mouth, they weren't laughing.
For sure not.
They weren't laughing. The first time they got hit in the jaw or leg, they were crying. They're like, oh my God, I got hit. But when you keep getting hit over and over and over again, you see these scars, you see these calluses.
Yeah.
These are from years of weightlifting and weight on my hand. And guess what? After getting hit over and over and over again, I have mental scars. I have mental calluses, which now I'm like, all right, dude, you hit me. That was a good one. Now let me figure out a strategy to try to win this fight, and let me know what I will learn in this fight. I actually look forward to it. It's kind of a sick thing right now. It's kind of a sick thing. I look forward to getting hit because I want to figure out a strategy and what's going to make me better out of this one.
Right.
Because but you won't You won't go through it if you're afraid of failure, if you're afraid of getting punched. You have to understand that nobody goes through life undefeated. Everybody's going to get knocked down. It's how you respond to the knockdown that's going to determine your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. So then let's say someone's listening to this, they're going through a failure. They're like, all right, I need to turn my frown into like a smile, laugh about it.
Yep.
What would you just say is like the first step for them on transitioning from that failure into taking the step? Like, is it just looking at it and realizing that, hey, this is just a speed bump? Or would you have any specific tactics on how they can kind of look at their life and go, you know, let me move?
Great question. First thing you have to ask themselves is this: how many other times they thought that was the end of the world and it wasn't?
Mm,
You know what I mean? How many other times are you going to say, okay, this is the end of the world? Oh my God. This is, how many other times that things happen and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to come out of this. And miraculously you came out of it. Well, this is just another one of those, right?
yeah, love
Another
that.
one of those, right? So you always look at, and then second thing you want to do is look at all the stuff that you should be grateful for. All the stuff that's going right in your thing. I mean, look, man,
Yeah,
you know, I started going back in the gym this week. Back in a regular gym. I have a gym in my house.
yeah,
But I was looking forward to just being around other people in the gym. I never thought I took that for granted.
yeah,
Like, oh my God, the gyms were shut down. Now with COVID, I'm going back to the gym. Like, this is fucking cool. I'm around
yeah,
other people in the gym. What the hell? There's like 20 different pieces of equipment here, you know, and all the little things that you take for granted, like having food, having a place to stay, having family, having your left finger, little things that you don't know till it's gone, you know. And I'll always, there's another thing I always say is that somebody, there's somebody out there that will give anything in the world to be you right now and have your
mm,
problems.
that's the the biggest truth ever. That is perspective shift, right? Love that. Okay, so now what I would be curious is one of the things I've heard that, and obviously with like all the world champions, you have bodybuilding, doing all these things, the success with the camps, like everything you've done, you've talked a lot about being committed to something, right? That we don't always want to actually do it. But are we committed or are we just interested? And so one thing I would be curious is like, what would your thoughts be on the importance of it, of commitment towards living the life that you truly want to live? Because we've talked about this a little bit throughout this conversation, but it's like you may have something you want to do. You grew up as a kid, you have this idea, this dream, and life kind of punches you in the face here and there and says like, oh, that's your dream, that's not actually going to happen. You're actually going to work this 9 to 5 job, and you're going to work, and then you can maybe have fun on the weekends, right? But like, what would you say is the importance of being committed to that happening, something happening in your life, and you going, no, like I'm not okay with this. Like I want to truly live a life that I wake up and I'm excited about every single day. Like what's the importance of commitment there?
Well, listen, you only get one life. You're only going to get, one thing is for sure. You're born here and you'll die here.
Yeah.
And you're here between this time and this time, whatever that time might be. It might be 100 years, it might be 50 years. You don't know you're going to be here tomorrow or not. You have an obligation, duty to yourself, your family, and everyone around you to live a life that you design for yourself and not a life that somebody else designs for you according to you, right? So it's your obligation and duty to design that. And if anything doesn't fit what you want out of life and doesn't fit to your big plan,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to go. And you should be unapologetically about it.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, awesome. And so one other thing I would be curious is I've heard this in previous podcasts I've listened to, but, and I thought it was kind of funny when I heard you say this, but you're like, if someone's 40 and they don't know what they're passionate about, you're like, what have they been doing in their life? And so,
They're not alive. They're not alive, Stu. How can you tell me you're not passionate about it? Ever since I was 4 or 5 years old, I love sports. I love cars. I like women. Like I was 5 years old staring at women and I didn't know why the hell I was staring at them.
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Like if you have blood going through your vein, I don't know what's going on with the world today, but I have a feeling. I think here's what's going on. You know, back in the old country, when I was there till I was 11, we had three channels on TV. And every night that we want to watch something, we found something great to watch.
Yeah.
Every night we found a movie, we had three channels, right? Here, right now, as I'm saying, I have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, The Zone, I have HBO Cinema, you name it, I have 5,000 channels. And once in a
Yeah,
while, my wife and I want to sit down and we can't find anything to watch, right?
for sure.
So I think that sometimes when there's too much choices, around, human minds can't make a decision. So I think maybe right now there's too many choices, and people are like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. And I think choices are great, but too many choices distract us. And so if you're alive right now and there's too much choices, you got to figure out what truly makes you happy. What would you do if there was, no amount of, you had all the money in the world? What would you do for free? Look, this is a $100 million check that I wrote myself,
Yeah.
for my birthday, May 1st, 2023. Everybody knows that. That's my retirement thing. I wrote that a long time ago, and I'm going to cash it. Comes May 1st, 2023. But let's just say, I get that check today. Guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm still going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I don't care if I'm a billionaire. I don't care if I'm a trillionaire. I don't care if I'm broke. If FBI wanted to find me, I'm not too hard to find. They're going to see me at a gym nearby. Go,
Yeah.
I mean, if I did something the FBI wanted to find me, go around the gym. You'll see. Sooner or later, I'll pull up because that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a human, and you got to find that one thing that you love to do no matter what, and be able to be the best at it, and make your passion into your paycheck.
Yeah. Do you think failure plays into it? Because sort of a thought I'm having is if you have 10 million choices, truthfully, if you really sat down, you're like, well, what are 5 things that I just have been attracted to over the last 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, you would come up with a couple things that you actually are attracted to. Now, when it comes to taking those things and turning it into a passion or turning it into like work you actually do, there's absolutely a chance you fail at that, right? But by not even taking the action or trying, you are guaranteeing it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're guaranteeing your failure, right? But maybe sometimes it's easier to not go down that path and not become a quote unquote failure and just take the easy route of getting this job that doesn't really make you happy. But then we come back to what you're saying. You have one life. Well, now you're not actually living that one life that you want to. So I'm wondering your thoughts maybe on if you think it has to do with maybe a fear of failure that people don't actually.
Absolutely, it has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it. I mean, most people rather be comfortable than uncomfortable. That's a fact. I mean,
Yeah.
not most people, everybody. Everybody. I mean, okay, so, do you want to go lay on the couch, or do you want to go lay on some sand? Which one do you prefer? Or some rocks? You're going to take the comfortable couch over that, and every single person would. So we're programmed naturally
Yeah.
to want to seek comfort. Okay, that's cool. But when it comes to developing yourself and trying new things and taking yourself to the next level, comfort is the enemy of progress, right?
Mm,
So
bro.
over the years, most entrepreneurs have learned to embrace the suck, have learned to be comfortable when they're uncomfortable. And some of them, they became kind of sick and demented, like I am. Sometimes I look at them, I'm kind of sick, and this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. I'm actually trying to change. Is that the fact that when I'm comfortable, I'm uncomfortable.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I'm like, gosh, man. I'm like, this is like, I can't. It's hard for me to Netflix and chill all day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
might be able to once in a while, my wife forces me to watch a show with her, and that show better be damn good, because if
Yeah.
it's not good, I'm like, I rather do something else. I rather go walk, I rather go lift, I
For
rather read a book,
sure. For
you know what I mean, all
sure.
that kind of stuff. But if that makes her happy, man, I'm like sitting down there like I'm like, this is. I feel like I'm not growing. I feel like I'm not doing that. But now I've learned to manage my time, crush it when I need to crush it in all areas of life, so I can dedicate some time to downtime and be able to hopefully learn to be comfortable when I'm comfortable as well.
Yeah. That's good. I could definitely relate to that a little bit. You're like, better be a good show. Okay, so Sam, I'm curious if people they're listening to this, they're like, "Damn, this guy Sam, I need to figure out what he's doing. Where is he? How do I get more of him?" Where can people get more information on what you're up to?
Bro, just Google my name, Sam Bakhtiar, SAMBAKHTIAR. All my social media handles are the same. I'm very active on Instagram, Facebook. And I also have a community phone number if they need to reach me, 909-200-4015. They can text me directly and communicate with me directly. It's really me texting them back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And we'll put all those in the show notes for anybody that wants to check that out. And so the last question we ask everyone on the podcast, because the show's about helping people find direction, but ultimately through execution, right? Because you're not going to find out what you want to do with your life by just sitting on a couch all day. And so I would be curious, what would you say is one thing that someone listening to this can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start finding direction in their life?
Great question. The one thing that they have to do is first get crystal clear on what they want out of life. That's
Mm.
the first thing everybody needs to do. You know what I mean? I was just on a call with one of my students before I got on this. And even though he's doing $5 million a year, he's making some good money and all that kind of stuff, he's not crystal clear of where he wants to be.
Mm.
But once you get crystal clear, see, it's not just getting up and doing something. Getting up and doing something is like getting up and just driving. You want to know what direction to go. So getting crystal clear on the direction, on the map for your life is the first thing you want to do. Okay, I want to go from here to here. I just don't want to get up and go here, here, here. I just don't want to drive. So I want to be laser focused on where I'm going. Once you're crystal clear on exactly where you want to go, then the decision making becomes really easy. Everything you do now either gets you closer to that point that you want to go or further away.
Yeah.
First has to be clarity, and then comes an action plan. And when the action plan comes, it's cool to write an action plan. That's what happens with New Year's resolution. You write an action plan. You write your perfect program, everything you're going to do, and all that kind of stuff. About what really happens. A couple of weeks into it, it's okay to skip a day. And then once you have an action plan, you don't negotiate with your inner bitch.
I love that. Damn. Okay, we're just gonna end it there. Don't negotiate. I love that. Okay, awesome. Well, Sam, this has been phenomenal. I've enjoyed this thoroughly, man, and thank you so much for just adding so much value to everybody's life, and massively appreciate it, man. So thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Stu, for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be on your show, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.